They say war changes everything. But what happens when a boy and his dog are forced to escape a world torn apart? This is the story of a 13-year-old Syrian boy and his loyal yellow mutt, Noor, who fled through danger and darkness. What happens next will surprise you, because sometimes the strongest bonds aren't just of flesh and blood, but of spirit. Listen closely, because this is a journey about survival, love, and a guardian that never truly leaves your side. Years from now, when I finally found safety and peace, I often find myself drifting back to the darkest days of my childhood. I was only 13, just a boy caught in the unforgiving grip of a war I never understood and never wanted. The distant echoes of explosions still ring in my ears, haunting reminders of a world torn apart. Every day was filled with fear, uncertainty, and loss. Friends disappearing without a trace, homes reduced to rubble, and the bitter taste of despair settling deep inside my heart. My home was no longer a refuge, but a battlefield where survival was the only goal. Before that fateful journey, life was a complicated mixture of fleeting innocence and harsh reality. The streets where I once played freely were now empty and broken, lined with debris and shadows. Families like mine struggled to hold on to their dignity amidst the chaos. My own family, though worn down by grief and fear, tried to shield me from the worst. But as the fighting grew closer, the walls of safety crumbled, leaving nothing but silence and cold nights filled with whispered prayers. Hope became fragile, like a candle flickering against a relentless storm. Yet, even in the midst of all that darkness, I clung to a small but steady light. My loyal companion, Noor, a scruffy yellow mutt with eyes that held more understanding than most humans I knew. Noor wasn't just a dog. He was my shadow, my protector, and the only constant in a world turned upside down. He seemed to know my every sorrow without a word spoken, offering comfort with a gentle nudge or the warmth of his body on cold nights. Our bond was silent but unbreakable, built on shared pain and quiet moments beneath shattered skies. I remember how Noor would wait for me outside the crumbling remains of our home, his gaze steady and unwavering despite the fear in the air. There was a strange determination in his eyes, a promise that he would never leave my side, no matter what happened. He survived the hunger, the cold, and the constant threat of violence, driven by something deeper than instinct, a loyalty that was as fierce as any soldier's. He was family in the truest sense, a living reminder that I was not alone, even when everything else seemed lost. As the war dragged on and the world around us fell apart, it became painfully clear that staying meant certain death. We had to leave behind everything we knew, the broken streets, the memories etched into every corner, and the faces of those who had vanished. The decision tore my heart, but survival demanded sacrifice. Little did I know, this choice would set me and Noor on a path filled with unimaginable challenges, a journey that would test not only our courage, but the very meaning of loyalty and hope. The day we left was etched into my memory like a scar that never fades. The sun barely rose, casting a pale light over the broken city as I clutched Noor's collar tightly. My heart pounded with fear and uncertainty. Every step forward felt like walking deeper into the unknown. We weren't just fleeing a war zone. We were leaving behind the fragments of my childhood, the last threads of safety, and stepping into a world where every shadow could hide danger. But Noor was by my side, his steady breathing a quiet reassurance in the chaos. Crossing the border between Israel and Palestine was more than a physical journey. It was a crossing into a different kind of existence. The checkpoint was tense, filled with guards whose faces showed nothing but suspicion and weariness. I remember how Noor's ears perked up, alert to every sound, while I tried to keep my own trembling under control. Each moment stretched endlessly as we waited, the weight of fear pressing down on us like a storm about to break. But somehow we made it through, step by trembling step. The desert stretched out before us, vast and unforgiving, the sun merciless in its heat. I was exhausted, My small body pushed beyond limits I never imagined. But Noor never faltered. He led the way, sniffing the ground, sensing danger long before I did. In the nights, when the cold bit through my thin clothes, he curled close to me, his warmth a fragile shield against the emptiness around us. I felt for the first time a deep connection not just to him, but to something larger, a force that whispered that survival was possible, even when everything else seemed lost. There were moments when I thought we wouldn't make it, when hunger clawed at my insides and fear threatened to paralyze me. But Noor's presence was a steady heartbeat in the silence, a promise that I was not alone. One night, under a sky full of cold stars, I whispered to him stories of a future where we would be safe, where the war would be just a distant memory. He listened with those knowing eyes, as if he understood every word, and I knew he carried my hope as fiercely as I did. That moment, standing on the edge of danger, holding on to Noor and to life itself, became the turning point of my journey. It was the moment when fear met courage, when despair faced hope, and when a boy and his dog became something more than survivors. It was the moment destiny chose us both, binding our fates together in a way I would never forget. As we journeyed further from the war, Noor and I became more than just boy and dog. We became inseparable companions bound by something deeper than words. Every day brought new challenges, but also moments of quiet understanding that no one else could grasp. In the silence between us, Noor communicated without barking or whining. His eyes held wisdom beyond his years, and his presence was a steady comfort when the world felt unpredictable and cruel. I learned to read his subtle signals, the way he tilted his head or rested his paw gently on my hand. Our bond grew stronger with each passing day in ways I never expected. Noor seemed to sense my fears and pains, sometimes nudging me forward when I wanted to give up, or curling up beside me to remind me I wasn't alone. I began to trust him not just as a protector, but as a true friend who understood the weight I carried. It was in those moments that I realized Noor was more than a dog. He was my anchor, my reason to keep moving when all hope seemed lost. We shared small rituals that became lifelines. Every morning, Noor would nudge me awake before dawn, urging me to keep going, to not lose faith. At night, we would sit beneath the vast sky, me whispering stories of peace and home, and him listening as if he held the secret to a better future. That connection was silent but powerful, a language spoken without words, rooted in trust, love, and survival. Noor was the only constant in a world that kept changing too fast. Even in the darkest moments, when exhaustion threatened to swallow me whole, Noor's loyalty never wavered. I remember one night when I was too weak to stand, and he gently licked my face, encouraging me to keep fighting. His warmth seeped into my bones and reminded me that I wasn't just a boy lost in war. I was someone worth saving, someone who had a future to fight for. Noor's love was fierce and unyielding, and it became the light guiding me through the darkness. That growing connection wasn't just about survival. It was about hope, healing, and the possibility of a new beginning. Noor was my guardian, my friend, and sometimes the only family I had left. Together, we faced the unknown, step by uncertain step, bound by a love forged in the harshest of realities, a love that would carry me through the journey ahead. Our journey was far from over when fate dealt us the harshest blow. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the dusty road, I was caught in an ambush. The world exploded in chaos, shouts, gunfire, and panic. I was separated from Noor in the confusion, my heart breaking the moment I realized he wasn't by my side. Fear crashed over me like a tidal wave, but I forced myself to keep moving, desperate to find him again. That moment shattered me, yet somehow it ignited a fierce determination to survive, not just for myself, but for Noor. Days blurred into nights as I searched frantically through unfamiliar villages and empty fields. My body ached and my spirit wavered, but the thought of Noor alone, vulnerable, kept me going. I held on to the memory of his golden fur and those unwavering eyes that once promised he would never leave me. I whispered his name into the wind, hoping it would carry my call to wherever he was. It was during this desperate search that I began to understand the depth of our bond. It was more than companionship. It was survival, trust, and unconditional love. Then, just when hope seemed lost, a stranger appeared, a kind face in a sea of uncertainty. This person offered shelter and safety, but the price was leaving Noor behind. My heart rebelled, torn between accepting help and staying with the only friend I had left. The war had already taken too much from me. Losing Noor would have been losing everything. Yet, I had no choice but to trust this stranger, to believe that Noor's spirit would guide me through the darkness, even if he was no longer physically with me. That night, as I lay under a fragile roof far from the war zone, I felt a quiet presence beside me, a warmth that wasn't there before. It was Noor, or at least the memory of him, a spirit guardian watching over me, guiding me to safety. I realized then that our connection transcended the physical world, that Noor had become a protector not just in body, but in soul. His disappearance was not an end, but a transformation, a beacon of hope that carried me beyond the war's reach. This turning point changed everything. It taught me that love and loyalty are more powerful than fear and loss. Noor's spirit became my guide, my strength, and the reason I survived. Though he was no longer by my side, I felt him in every step forward, every breath of fresh air, and every moment of peace that followed. Our journey was not just about escaping war. It was about the unbreakable bond between a boy and his dog, a bond that even death could not sever. In the years that followed, I learned that survival was only the beginning of my journey. After leaving the war behind, the memories of the past lingered like shadows, but Noor's spirit remained my constant companion. I felt him in every quiet moment, guiding me through the challenges of rebuilding a life from the ruins. His presence was invisible to others, but to me, it was as real as the beating of my own heart. I realized that Noor had transformed from a loyal dog into a guardian spirit that carried my hopes and dreams forward. Starting over in a new land was both terrifying and full of promise. I struggled to find my place, haunted by the ghosts of war, but strengthened by the love Noor left behind. Every step I took was a testament to the bond we shared, a reminder that even when everything is lost, love can light the darkest path. I began to speak about our journey, sharing the story of a boy and his dog who survived against all odds. Through this, I found healing and a way to honor Noor's sacrifice and courage. Noor's disappearance had once felt like a painful goodbye, but now I understand it as a sacred transition. His spirit was never truly gone. It became a source of strength that lifted me when I faltered. I carry his memory not as a burden, but as a gift, a reminder that love transcends distance, time, and even death. Every time I face a challenge, I hear his silent bark in my soul, urging me forward with courage and hope. That bond, forged in the fires of war, became the foundation of the person I am today. Looking back, I see our story as one of transformation, not just mine, but Noor's as well. From a scared boy running from war and a stray dog lost in chaos, we became something greater together. Our connection grew beyond the physical, beyond fear and loss, into something eternal. Noor taught me what it means to love without limits and to find strength in the darkest moments. And though his body disappeared, his spirit remains with me, a guardian watching over the path ahead. Now, when I tell this story, I hope it reaches others who have faced their own battles, who have lost and loved and struggled to keep going. I want them to know that even in the worst of times, hope can be found in the most unexpected places, in the eyes of a dog, in the spirit of a friend, in the heart of a boy who refused to give up. Noor's story is not just mine. It is a testament to the power of loyalty, love, and the unbreakable bond that connects us all. Thank you for listening to my story, a journey through fear, hope, and the unbreakable bond between a boy and his dog. Noor may have disappeared physically, but his spirit continues to guide me every day. If this story touched your heart, please give this video a like and share it with others who believe in the power of loyalty and love. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more incredible animal stories that inspire and move the soul. I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever had a connection with an animal that changed your life? Share your story in the comments below, and let's create a community that celebrates these extraordinary bonds. Your support means everything, and together we keep hope alive.